And so, welcome to tonight's show. We're going to be talking about Vancouver. We have with us Gwendal Castellan. I'm going to bring him in just a second. But if you're meeting me for the first time on this channel, I provide information to help people that travel with challenges, travel better, and enjoy their trips more. I also provide information for friends and family. So we're going to talk about Vancouver, and we'll bring Gwendal to our platform with us. And so, Gwendal, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background, and then we'll start talking about Vancouver.
Sure. So my name is Gwendal Castellan. I work at Tourism Vancouver, which is the Visitor and Convention Bureau for the City of Vancouver. And I've been there for 8 years, and on a very interesting career path. I started as an energy manager working for the Bureau, helping businesses really transform their operations towards reducing energy use and trying to help tourism be part of the city's goals to be the greenest city. And since then, that's evolved into sort of an evolution of a role. And now I'm the manager of sustainable destination development at Tourism Vancouver.
Okay, well, very cool. Let's see, I think I have a little bit of an echo. Can you turn?
Oh.
I heard myself, so I'm, and I know I don't think it was on this end. So anyway, let me do this. Adjust my mic a little bit too. So let's talk about Vancouver. Gwendal and I were talking before we started the show, and I was telling him that I was there last year, and I had a chance to do a little bit of sightseeing. But the next time I come up, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to want to spend more time in Vancouver. So if somebody's coming to Vancouver for the first time, then, they come either they're getting ready to leave on a ship or they're coming in on a ship. What are some of the things that they might want to try to see?
So, I mean, really, what is the first thing that you see as you come off the ship and you're at Canada Place is that you have what is the beginning of an amazing seawall that will take you all around the harbor, Stanley Park, and all the way through False Creek. It's one of the jewels of the city is that we have this necklace of a pedestrian and cycling pathway right next to the water that's contiguous. You don't ever have to dodge out and get away from the water. You can see the water everywhere, and right from there you can just roll along. I think we have about 29 kilometers of seawall, and that to me is with so many points where you can duck out and see different kinds of sights along the way.
Okay, so you mentioned some places. So what are some of the things that we could see off of the that seawall as we're making that trek?
So right west of Canada Places, you have the Convention Centre, which is a building that was built for the Olympics. And along the seawall, around the Convention Centre, there's all sets of murals which are the labour history of BC, right from the founding of the city, all the issues, everything that was built in the city. There are these plaques that follow you all along, and it's a walk. It's essentially a history tour as you move around the Convention Centre and make your way towards the coastline. And another really unique aspect of the Convention Centre is not only is it's an integrated building with multiple restaurants. You've got the Cactus Club that's right there, and it provides you with a view of the 4.5 acre green roof, which is quite a unique feature. And it creates this natural grasses and flora that is on the roof of this building right in the center of downtown.
Okay.
Go ahead. Yeah, and there you have barely even moved, and you've already had something pretty cool to check out.
Yeah.
As you move further west, the real attraction is Stanley Park, and Stanley Park it's a 10-kilometer loop of seawall around the park, so that's about 6 miles in the non-metric world, and along the seawall you have. We have the totems by Brockton Point and Brockton Oval. We also have the Vancouver Aquarium, which is in the center of the park. And as you make your way around, you'll go right underneath Lionsgate Bridge, and then there's 3 sets of beaches that bring you back towards the neighborhood of the West End. So you have Third Beach, Second Beach, and English Bay, which are all beautiful beaches in their own right. And at Second Beach, you even have an outdoor swimming pool, which is open from May to September every year. A slight adjustment this year, but we're hopefully won't be repeating that.
Yeah, I don't think any of us want another version of this year. Let me just post one quick post here. Let people know they can post their questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Stanley Park sounds pretty amazing. And so, what if you're gonna do Stanley Park and you're gonna walk over? What kind of time frame are we looking at? Do you need to allow to make that work?
So if you're going to take the seawall and really commit to doing the whole thing at a walking pace, you just to get to Stanley Park, you want to commit about 30 minutes to get to Stanley Park. And if you're at a slower pace, 40 minutes is probably a safe bet. There are operators such as Land Sea and West Coast Sightseeing that do a hop-on, hop-off tour, which allows you to get a subscription for the day, and there you can have multiple stops within Stanley Park and all the major attractions through downtown. So those are great options if you want to speed up and get to the main event, so to speak, of the things that you're really interested in.
Okay, so yeah, that sounds like a good plan. Let me ask you, we saw at least part of Gastown. And
Yeah.
one thing that I saw in Gastown that I thought was the coolest thing ever is the steam clock.
Yeah.
I had never seen anything like that.
Yeah, so Vancouver is, I mean, not unique. A lot of downtowns have a district energy system that is powered by steam. And Vancouver's actually, interestingly, its origins are connected to tourism because the building where the first boilers were built in the 1930s was the Hotel Vancouver, which is a real iconic Fairmont property now. And with a roof that is green, a copper roof that's oxidized and looks green now, and in the basement of that hotel were 3 giant coal-powered boilers that create the steam for heating all the buildings around it, the office buildings that are being built around it at the time. And then in the 60s they switched to another location for gas-powered boilers, but it became part of our history, and so. In the 1970s, as they had done that, this artist proposed to create a clock that is powered by steam, and so every hour we get a chime and a big plume of steam that comes out from the steam clock, and it's just sort of a visual reminder, a tactile reminder that there is this pipe of steam that in all the buildings around you are being heated by this underground steam. Okay. And it adds to the flavor of that neighborhood, which is one of the oldest neighborhoods of the city.
Okay, and did that neighborhood have a kind of colorful past?
It's got a colorful present. Colorful. It certainly has been. I mean, Vancouver is founded after a great fire, and it just seems so real right now as we on the West Coast are experiencing massive wildfires up and down from California all the way to right next to us in Washington State, and so we've got a lot of smoke in our it's a reminder that that's a real part of the origin of the city, and Vancouver was formed essentially in the metro region. New Westminster was actually the first fort, trading fort, and it was later when Gassy Jack came and set up his bar, which is legend has it was just a barrel and a plank set on between 2 barrels, and started to open his saloon there, and the city sort of built around Gastown.
Okay,
which is
I was going to say, and that's interesting too, in the fact that so many of the port towns in Alaska have those kinds of stories associated with them. Because especially during the gold rush, I was done a bunch of videos on Skagway lately, and quite a colorful past.
Yeah, and one of the best things you can do to really dive into that and get the full history is there's a group called the Vancouver Mystery Tours, and they specialize in doing walking tours around Gastown and Chinatown and really telling all the stories of Vancouver's early history, and they have incredible storytellers, and so you can really get to maybe even know more than locals do about their own neighborhoods.
Okay. Oh, and you said Vancouver Mystery Tours?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're fantastic.
All right. Well, keep that in mind. Now, my impression, because as I told you, I came in and we got in at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and then I think the train left around 4 or 5 to go back, because we took Amtrak back, and I love the train. That was our third train ride of that trip. But so the question I guess I have is, from what just a little bit we had time to see, it looks like Vancouver is a place that's really worth a day or two before or after a cruise if you're departing or terminating a cruise there. So if you have a little bit longer period of time, so let's say that we spent a couple of nights there. What are some of the things that we could make a worthwhile trip out of?
Well, to start, I would look at using resources like the Rick Hansen Foundation's Accessible Buildings Registry, and so we now have some hotels that have been certified with them. So staying in a nice hotel like the Coastal Harbor or the Shangri-La, which are right downtown, would be some good choices. And really make sure that you have that proximity to all the core attractions in the city. And then right at the center there, you also not too far from Canada Place and the cruise ship terminal, you have the Vancouver Art Gallery, which has rotating exhibits every year, and some of the best permanent collections of arts like Emily Carr, of local early art on our coastline, which are just amazing to see. You have the Bill Reid Gallery. Bill Reid is a Haida artist and sculptor. You will see his sculpture if you ever come in through the Vancouver International Airport. There's an amazing sculpture of a canoe there. People's in a canoe right at the center of the airport, and so there's a whole museum gallery dedicated to his works, and they usually have also other works, guest works that are rotating through from other Indigenous artists in the region. They're quite amazing. That's right in the center of the city. And then what's nice about Vancouver, it's a city immersed in nature. So just at our doorstep, you can go up to the North Shore of Vancouver and up towards the mountains and visit the Capilano Suspension Bridge, which is built over the Capilano River Canyon, which is an amazing experience. It's a bit of a wobbly bridge, but there's also all kinds of incredible points of view along the canyon that provide really good access at Capilano Bridge. And then right above that is Grouse Mountain, where you can take a gondola up 600 meters. So that's about 1,500 feet, I believe. No, 1,200 1,600 feet, sorry, trying to do the math. and from up there you have, if you're thinking of the summertime, you have amazing trails all around at the top of the gondola. They have zip lines and all kinds of, if you're more into having thrills, you can do that. They also have the two bears who are cubs that were collected and are in rehabilitation. So there's some bears to check out. It's a really easily you can fill 2 days. That would be quite a full first day, I would say. Okay,
yeah. The reason I thought about the 2 nights is because a lot of times coming from the East Coast, you wind up in on an afternoon flight, so if you're flying into Vancouver, if you fly into Seattle and by the time you get to Vancouver, you've lost, most of that first day. So you basically have like one full day and then a little bit of the time the following morning. So you said there was an aquarium in the park?
Yeah, right in the center of the park, there's an amazing aquarium that has been there now since the 1950s, and is really a world-leading conservation organization now that happens to operate an aquarium in a sense that their mission really is education and conservation. So they're very connected to not just running an aquarium, but to connect people to the environment that's around them. So the resident whales and the salmon, the sea otters, the river otters, all those local animals that you may see fleetingly in nature. They provide you with an opportunity to really connect with them more closely and to learn more about them at the aquarium, and in a setting that is just ideal, because it's you can easily forget that you're in the city when you're in the center of Stanley Park.
Okay, well, that sounds like that would take some time. And then you mentioned the Chinatown tour and the Gastown tour. So if you did both of those, what are we talking about on those tours? Just a rough idea.
Yeah, I think the Gastown tour, they're usually about 2.5 hours at the longest. So you're looking at it would take an afternoon once you consider taking a break to sample some of the excellent food in Vancouver. It's a real fantastic culinary city which really blends so many different cultures. We have one of the highest populations of people who were born actually somewhere else, and that means that we have just a really tremendous diversity of foods, and all that's mixing and creating some really amazing choices if you're into trying different kinds of meals.
Now that would be right up my alley, because I like food. I like food with flavor and variety, and I think Vancouver would be a town that I could spend some time in just for that alone. So basically, then we could find a couple of things. Now, you talked about the bridge. Is that something that you need to rent a car to get to?
No, so the Capilano Suspension Bridge and Grouse Mountain actually operate a shuttle from the cruise ship terminal, and I think it operates every 15 minutes, 15 or 20 minutes during the peak season. And it's a free shuttle. Obviously, you're going to have to pay to get in once you're at the other end, but the shuttle itself is complimentary, and it only takes about 25 minutes to get to either Capilano or Grouse Mountain. It's not a long trip because it just has to go through the park and then up to the North Shore. So it's barring any major traffic snarl, it's usually fairly consistently on time.
Okay, well, that sounds like something very interesting. My wife would not like the suspension bridge. She's not a fan of wobbly bridges. She's not a fan of tramways. For me, those are the things that I enjoy, but wouldn't be necessarily her cup of tea. And so it sounds like, from the things that we've talked about, that Vancouver's fairly accessible, fairly easy for people to get around.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've had a good history of adaptations, like letdowns. Really, it just in the general geography of the street. Leading up to the 2010 Olympics, our mayor was in a wheelchair, and he really took advantage of the lead up to the Olympics and making sure that we were investing in making our city more accessible in preparation for the Olympics. And that's a legacy that lives on throughout the city to this day. Our Parks Board does things like creating, in the summertime, they install accessible beach mats to allow people to get down to the water without having their wheels get stuck in the sand. And also, it also allows them to use their own equipment, which is slightly different than places where you'll see like big accessible chairs with huge wheels where you have to transfer. You can just roll up get to the beach, and go as far as you want, which I think are really fantastic because it's a really low barrier kind of environment. Yeah, and then I guess the other aspect is we have the fortune of having a local resident being Rick Hansen. I don't know if you remember, but in the 80s, he did the Man in Motion tour and wheeled around the world over a period of, I think it was 2.5 years, and has since created a foundation that has really been advocating for creating opportunities in the city and across the country. And being his hometown, I think we've benefited from his leadership here in raising awareness and how we can change things to make things more accessible in our city.
Okay, that sounds amazing. Let me just a quick question for you on the like the hop on, hop off bus and public transportation. How are those for being accessible?
So public transit is quite accessible. There is every SkyTrain station or Canada Line station from the airport to downtown or through the region has elevators, and so you can have access throughout. And the entrances to the trains themselves are zero level. All the buses have ramps and are low floor buses. The hop on, hop off buses are, I think at least half of them are low floor double decker type buses. So the lower floor is accessible. You can roll onto it. And then with our taxi system, we have a licensing system that requires that the operators have a certain number of accessible taxis. So when you're calling for a taxi, you can request an accessible taxi, and there are large minivans that have that are retrofitted to be accessible and are generally quite don't require you to wait longer than if you were calling just for any taxi. So as long as you let them know, they're usually quite good about it.
Okay, well, that's very good. That's very good to know because it's not that way in every city. We've had our challenges, my wife and I. My wife, she's not confined to a wheelchair, so she can transfer to a car seat, pretty easily. But then you wind up we've wound up in cabs where the wheelchair's hanging out the back of the trunk, and and it's just been much less accommodating than we would have liked, because you're always worried.
I can empathize. I've, as a young parent, getting around with a stroller kind of provides this a really similar set of challenges. And I remember being in certain cities where, my wife and I were trying to lift up the stroller and go down, 20 flights of stairs and things like that, where you're like, oh, where's the option? An elevator would have been nice here.
And that's exactly right. Is that can be the challenge. So it sounds to me like Vancouver's an amazing place to come visit. Like I said, we enjoyed our short time there. So if we get a chance, we will come back and at least spend a couple of nights probably. I was supposed to have been there I want to say it was in July. I think it was. There was supposed to be a trade show because I'm a travel agent. And there was a trade show for the cruise lines that was going to be there, and they were going to have a bunch of ships in, and so I was all set to come, and I was looking forward to that, and then life happened,
Yeah. No, we're really working hard to make sure that all the products that we love to be able to present to people in Vancouver are still going to be around next year, and that's our challenge right now. Is really to make sure that all the businesses that are suffering quite a lot this year are able to make it through the winter and be in a good position to welcome people next year and for the years to come. And we're really hoping that not only can we survive, but that we will be inspired to think of new and exciting ways to make Vancouver more accessible in every way, and create products that everyone can enjoy.
Okay, so I'm going to put and I don't remember if you sent it to me or not, but I'll put your contact information. So if somebody wants to reach out to the Vancouver, it's not the Tourist Bureau. What would you say it was again?
Convention and Visitor Bureau.
Convention and Visitor Bureau. Okay. I just want to make sure I got it right because I usually don't. So we'll put your contact information. I'm assuming that you have some online information that people can access if they want to do a little bit of research on Vancouver. And
absolutely, it's quite easy to find. It's tourismvancouver.com, and you will find you can spend hours going through the site. There's so much information there, and so many different options to check out for every kind of taste, basically.
Okay, and let me ask on this, because I didn't specifically look at yours. Do you have a section for those that travel with challenges?
Absolutely, yeah. So we have a whole section around planning your trip with guidance on accessibility, and it's actually quite extensive. I was just reviewing it before our call and going and surprising myself at some of the resources and sort of itineraries and ideas. We've got even a section with sort of locals sharing their favorite activities in Vancouver and some of their insider tips, which is quite good as well.
Okay. All right. Well, Gwendal, if you'd hang around for just a second, we'll say goodbye to these folks and then we'll chat. For everybody that's been here tonight, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do me a favor. Subscribe. Please hit the like button. Let YouTube know that this was worth watching and maybe they'll share it with somebody else. Again, I appreciate everybody that's been here, and we look forward to, if you're watching on the replay, if you have questions that you didn't get answered, because I didn't see any questions today for us, put them in the comments down below, and if I can't find the answer, I'll reach out to Gwendal, and I'm sure he'll know the answer. So we'll try to get your questions answered, and we'll see everybody the next time.
Thank you.